In our culture, everything is based on success. But what is success? Who defined it? Who decided that success was the goal instead of fulfillment? What happens if we shake up that definition? What if we make our own definition of success? My name is Tony Grebmeyer, and on this podcast, I'm going to dig deep into the real stories behind success. Join me as I interview other entrepreneurs who've climbed up Success Mountain and have come back down to share their stories so you can succeed. If you're ready to join a community of other entrepreneurs redefining success and finding fulfillment, go to BeFulfilledLife.com and join the community. Now, let's dive into today's show. Welcome to Be Fulfilled. It is the real stories behind success. My name is Tony Grebmeyer, and I'll be your Sherpa up and down Success Mountain today. We got a great guest for you, somebody who have gotten a chance to see behind the Iron Curtain a little bit and learn what he does and how he does it and how he provides amazing service and value to the world. Also become a really, really good friend over the last 4 years. This guy is really somebody you want to pay attention to. So notes, have you ever figured out like you got a website, but you don't know how to market it? Maybe you've spent a lot of time and money on Google ads and they've served you, or Facebook ads and they helped you for a period of time. But then when you stopped advertising, nobody came to visit your site anymore. Well, this is why I want you to pay attention today to David, because David decided to go all in on the digital marketing industry many years ago. And for his clients, it's been a good thing. He's generated tens of thousands of millions of dollars in revenue for him. He's got a passion for growing small businesses and corporations through data-driven, ROI-centric strategies. Creativity lies at the heart of this SEO and SEM innovator. Now, what I like about David is he's not all work, because he realizes that you can't be all work. If you don't have any fun, you'll be stuck driving yourself insane. So throughout the years, he's become somebody who's passionate about cooking. He loves socializing with family and friends, hiking, biking, hanging out with his dog Zorro, reaching and researching new strategies. When it's convenient, he loves masterminding and going to community events. Please welcome the founder and CEO of Peaks Digital Marketing, my good friend, David Finberg.
Hey, thanks, Tony. Appreciate you having me on.
Hey, bud. So first and foremost, everybody gets the same question. What is your definition of success?
My definition of success is, living a fulfilled life, doing what you want to do, and making an impact in the lives of others, and kind of aligning all of that together. So, you're adding value to people's lives while at the same time having fun.
I love that. So you are based here in Denver. Where are you from originally?
So originally from the East Coast, out near the DC, Virginia area. I spent about 20, 25 years in that part of the world, and then was born actually in New Jersey, just outside of New York.
I love it. Hey, so before you got into this industry, what were you doing before?
So funny enough, I've had a lot of different jobs over the years, but for a while I was actually a Mercedes mechanic. I learned everything from changing tires and oil, all the way to like rebuilding a transmission or suspension system. So it's been quite a journey back into the digital side of things. But when I was younger, maybe 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, right, I was building Flash websites and HTML websites, and then decided, hey, I want to go play with toys for a couple of years, and got into the Mercedes angle and became a master mechanic and learned kind of the ins and outs of the car industry.
What would you say is something that is very similar between like the Mercedes-Benz, master mechanic, and doing SEO and that kind of stuff? Like what is something that you found maybe is similar?
That's a really great question. The biggest similarity is the details. I had a mentor, when I was in the mechanic world, and he's actually a teacher. He would say, the devil is in the details. The devil's in the details, right? And I use this analogy all the time when I talk to my team and kind of talk about how important details can be. And you can do 99% of things right, but if you leave a bolt in the engine or you forget to tighten something, right, the whole thing can come apart. And it was really just finding that it's almost like a mode that I go into, or mode that I try to shift everyone into, which is just focusing on what's in front of you and really being precise and exact without overthinking things, right? And really just being present in what you're focused on at that moment. is by far like the most important thing when you're working on a car, right? Because if someone comes and distracts you and you leave that bolt loose, the customers drive down the highway and their, tires flying off or their engines falling apart. It's not a good day.
Oh, I love it because I get the visual too, like the devil's in the details, and if you don't finish the job and you leave one thing and like your 99-point inspection, incomplete, and it's going to come back to haunt you. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's just a great thing. Any business owner today has already got a ton of value. All right, so Peaks Digital Marketing, full service, SEO and SEM and agency out here in Denver. Why did you decide to go all in on digital? Was there a need or something that you saw in this industry that really caught your attention? I mean, you go back to when you were 9 or 10, Flash websites, HTML, kind of love the idea. You learn along your way some life experience. You become a master mechanic. You decide, all right, I'm going to go do something. What did you see that was missing in the industry that decided, for you to go, hey, I'm going to go all in and I'm going to go launch my own company?
So there are a couple of things that I saw within the industry that stood out to me. One was kind of like a lack of help. It's almost like going to an IT guy, right? If you don't know your computers and you're trying to fix your computer or your website in this case, it can be intimidating, especially when you're not armed with the knowledge and the power and the new updates and the new best practices to apply. And so I would find that people, they would have like these great, amazing businesses, and it'd almost be like having a store without a sign on it, right? And they have, great branding, great messaging. You just take a step back and you say, okay, well, why isn't this working, right? And business owners would come and they'd be frustrated and they didn't understand really what was happening with their website and why they needed to SEO optimize it or why people weren't converting. So there were a couple of things, right? Looking at a high level, right, is like a lot of people really didn't know what they don't know. They're like, hey, I know I need it. I just don't know where to start and how to start chipping away at this large boulder that's kind of sitting here now that I don't have these leads and my site's not converting. So there's, certainly a need to educate people and give them more kind of transparency in the process and what really goes into a successful campaign. And SEO guys, I don't know if anyone here is like, like me, but there's a zillion SEO people. I get about 10 emails a day from people saying, hey, I can get you a backlink or let me optimize your site. And, it can be overwhelming, especially when you have, 10, 20, 30 different people in here telling you that you need X, Y, and Z. The second thing that I noticed with, the industry as a whole was that there wasn't a lot of accountability. SEO is one of those services that takes time to come to fruition. And, so many horror stories of businesses investing for a year and, the company saying, hey, you just have to keep going. Just, hey, it's taking a little bit longer. We're going to get there. It just takes time. And they get to the end of the year and they haven't gotten any return on their investment. And they've almost been left with like a bad taste in their mouth. Like, maybe I don't even want to do this. Maybe this isn't real. Maybe this is snake oil. And so, one way that we tried to almost be like a security blanket for businesses in that sense is by introducing the monthly pricing model and really just taking a lot of the risk away from the business owner to allow us to start the collaboration process that's needed to really have a successful campaign. We can come in and apply all the technical details and the optimization. At the end of the day, it's really a journey of collaboration between the business owner and the agency and how we can help accentuate and pull the right levers and really spread the right messaging around that will get the customers to convert. And so, looking at the industry, right, there's a lot of need for people to just have the right information and to have someone in their corner that they can rely on that'll help guide them through some of the challenges and through some of the latest updates on the reverse end, right? Holding, again, the accountability factor, right? Holding figuratively your agency's feet to the fire in the sense of every month you should be seeing results. Every month you should be getting reports and updates and things that will help provide transparency so you can make the right decisions.
I love it, David. Hey, we're going to take a quick break on the Be Fulfilled podcast show. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about, what are some basic things you can do to make sure your site is actually in the engines, and then some steps behind the scenes about what will make for a successful client. Because, the interesting part is it's a long game This is the SEO is a long game. It's something ongoing. So many people think, hey, I'll buy a couple backlinks, I'll write a couple blogs, and bam, my site will be listed. But you know what? You're competing against everybody else that has that same mindset. The thing that sets the world apart when they get really right down to it is you got to have a guy like David Finberg and Peaks Digital Marketing as a partner in your growth plan. And if you don't have that in your marketing channel right now, I'm gonna tell you, stick around, because what David's gonna drop on the second half of the show is literally going to be a game changer for you. So we'll be right back on the Be Fulfilled podcast show with our special guest today, David Finberg from Peaks Digital Marketing.
Are you ready to break the mold? So many people seem stuck in society, but you're not one of them. If you were, you wouldn't be listening to this. And I know for a fact that right here, right now, inside you, there's greatness. And a great way to help bring that out is the 12-week journey to fulfillment. So head over to BeFulfilledJournal.com and use the coupon code podcast, and you get a special rate on us. It's our way to say thanks for listening. As well, there's access to a private community of entrepreneurs ready to support you and your business. That's BeFulfilledJournal.com.
All right, we are back on the Be Fulfilled podcast show. What a great first half. David, you just dropped a lot of nuggets. I love the question that I got asked, the difference between kind of being a master mechanic and Peaks Digital Marketing and kind of running that SEO business, because I think it's if the devils are in the details, then this is a long game. This isn't a quick fix. This isn't a buying a lottery ticket and hope you hit the jackpot. You're going to hit the jackpot when you work with the right company, because it's a long-term investment. I know so many people are like, oh, I didn't see a ton of results last month. What happened? I'm like, can we talk a little bit about algorithms, updates, et cetera, all the hazards that come your way as somebody running a business. Talk just a little bit about some of the things that you get asked a lot about. Hey, how come I was ranked high and then I dropped? And what are we doing? And just share a little bit of the wisdom that you've acquired throughout the years of helping businesses to kind of, instead of like living in the rough waters, to figure out how to get back into cruise, smooth sailing.
Certainly, this is a really timely question, given that Google releases an algorithm update around about every quarter, and so business owners ask me all the time, "Hey, I was on the top of the first page, and now I'm towards the middle of the first page. What happened?" Right, and so Google's continually releasing new algorithms. Actually, it's up to 200 to 500 times a year, but the big ones happen about once a quarter. And so looking at a page when, let's say, you have a website and your rankings fell off, right? We have, Tony actually mentioned it earlier in the call, like a 99-point inspection, right? We have an inspection that we do on the site to make sure that there aren't any major changes to the site. And oftentimes what happens is, hey, we added a new page, or we changed the URL of a page, or hey, I thought this content would be really great to just kind of throw on the site. And maybe there's a disconnect between the left hand versus the right, in terms of maybe someone on your team has made a change to the website that others aren't aware of. And part of that process is to go and check for broken links and check for obvious changes week over week. When you get into more of the devilish details, as we're saying here on this call, right, you have to look a few steps deeper. If nothing's changed on your website, it's the way that Google is actually scoring your website that's changed. And so things like social proof, hours of operation, easy, clear, concise contact information, informative content that the user actually is Google's actually measuring the experience on your pages. So if users are going to that page and reading half the article and clicking away, right, likely there's a content upgrade or a content kind of revamp that's going to be needed to keep users, staying on that page and consuming your branded materials. It's, there's so many components. Usually the big ones right now, especially going into 2021, now that we're here, right, in May, they're actually releasing a brand new update called the Core Web Vitals update that has to do with the page speed of the site. And so what Google has found is that sites that are slower, or in some cases may be fast but just take a while to render, or I don't know if you've ever seen, Tony, like a site that kind of jumbles as it loads, like it might load and then the page kind of jumps around as other components of the page load. Google's looking for, super fast, consistent, stable websites. And so a lot of us are browsing on 4G, and some of us have 5G, right? Google finds that, sites that have great user experiences tend to convert higher, keep people on the page for longer. And you tend to have a reduced what they call bounce rate, or people bouncing away from your page, from your website. And so these are just some of the things that we look at, right? It's the content, it's the page speed, it's your backlinks. Did you lose backlinks? Did we have a press release go out and that press release expired and you just lost 60 backlinks at once? There can be multiple kind of areas to look at, but at a high level, you're looking at, your core needle movers are, were there changes to the website? Has Google started to prioritize other sites in your industry over your site? And if so, what are the things that those sites do really well? Do they have social proof? Do they have certifications? Are they part of communities that have a high level of trust? They're really looking for expertise, trust, authoritativeness on your site. And so what we do is we go and we audit that site and say, okay, where are competitors, showing that they have more trust, or giving that perception that they have more trust? Where are pieces of content on your site that are maybe 5, 6, 7 years old, or maybe were written last month, that just aren't hitting the mark, right? Really aren't converting the user, have a high bounce rate. Maybe don't go into as much detail as they really should for the client to make that educated buying decision. And then we look at the technicals, right? What's the speed look like? How many backlinks do you have? Has anything changed with the way that Google is crawling your site? And by looking at these core areas, I'd say the biggest of which are typically content and your experience, whether it's your page speed or the design of your site or both, right? That users might not be as compelled to take action on versus maybe a competitor site that's got, really clean design. Maybe they're a part of a couple of associations or have a high level of trust, either with great reviews or just with, niche content, niche things in the industry that other people aren't offering. And then we go and basically audit, compare the different sites and start to almost reverse engineer that algorithm to show Google more of what users want to see. And in a nutshell, it can take as little as a few days all the way down to, a month or two to revamp a site that's really, scoring low in the algorithm. But in a nutshell, those are the core things: expertise, trust, authoritativeness, and how can we get our sites to better convey our expertise and really allow people to see that, we're trusted, we're reputable, we're within, we're thought leaders, we're world-class within our markets. And a lot of that then, reverts back to the content and, where improvements can be made to help convey the message a bit better.
I love that. What are a couple of the industries that you really specialize in?
So we specialize in some of the most difficult industries. They call them YMYL, your money, your life, which is anything that can affect your money or your life. So that could be medical. We have a pretty heavy focus in medical, financial, B2B services, and a few enterprise clients in IT and hosting and things that are a bit more technical.
No, I love it. Hey, David, what I want to tell people is, like, if you want to learn more, at least maybe take David up on what he's offering here today, just check out peaksdigitalmarketing.com. They're based in Denver. Great firm. I've gotten a chance to work with David, and I'm seeing his team firsthand, from content on my sites to blogs, etc. They'll handle what you need. But it's basically a phone call away from maybe a whole new perspective on maybe adding something new to your marketing. A lot of people spend money and they don't know where the money goes. David will tell you what you're tracking, what you're not tracking, what you're closing and what you're not closing, and maybe what you can do about it. So, David, what I want to do is quickly bring you into the fulfillment round. There are a bunch of random questions. There's no rights, no wrongs. All you need to do is give me your permission to ask you these questions by saying, I am ready.
I am ready.
And now it's time for the fulfillment round. No phoning a friend, no using the Google machine, no digging into storage for the Encyclopedia Britannicas. And I promise Tony won't make you cry. And if you don't know the answer, just make it up. The fulfillment round brought to you by shipoffers.com for all your product and fulfillment needs. Now, Tony, you ready to ask some questions?
All right. First question for you, David. When you get up in the morning, what's the first thing you think about?
You've actually helped me change this tone. The first thing I think about is gratitude. What are 3 things that I'm grateful for? And, if we're talking more of like routine wise, it's usually, pop on some slippers, put the coat on and go for a walk with my dog, Zorro.
I love it. One of the interesting things about you that I love is, you just kind of like running Peaks Digital Marketing. You're always trying to find a way to get better. What are some things that you've learned from running an SEO agency that have helped you over the last couple of years, just about maybe the way that you look at yourself and things that you need to constantly work on?
Much like Google, it's a perception, right? Your perception online impacts the way that people view your business. And I noticed, over the last couple of years, getting the opportunity to, have some mentoring and coaching from you, Tony, and also, doing a lot of self-reflection and journaling and things that really just help kind of lay things out in a data-driven way, the same way that we approach our marketing. Let's look at some of the data from my journals, right? And some of the data points showed that I was really lacking some perspective around what a successful business owner was. And I really can look back and confidently say, wow, there's been some really profound shifts and changes as a result of a lot of the work that's been done over the last few years. And the main thing was, I actually ran an experiment of like, let me work as hard as I can, 12, 16 hours a day, right? And then let me work like 8, 10, 12 hours a day and have more balance and go on a bike ride and, go out to dinner and do things that are fulfilling for like the soul, right? And what I found was that there's, while it may seem, maybe there's, some nobility in being like, yeah, I work 16 hours a day. It really wasn't, like, on the back end for me, it wasn't fulfilling, and it wasn't like a noble struggle. It was like, well, why am I not doing some of these things I want to do? Why don't I do that bike ride? Why don't I, go to sleep a little bit earlier, wake up a little bit earlier and have some me time? And so what I found at the end of the experiment was unequivocally, taking the time and balance and, making time for myself and making time to be creative and not just working the fingers to the bone, which is a lot of which I learned in the mechanic industry, right? Is you get paid for the amount of commission you sell and the amount of hours that you turn. And it's very much like this, continual goal setting where you're not really looking back and celebrating or even acknowledging like some of the things that have happened. And, Tony, you've helped me with this by leaps and bounds, which is just taking some time to, like, it's okay to take time for yourself, and it's actually more productive. It's actually one of the most important things that I can do is to make a commitment to myself and have a routine that, if the whole world's burning down tomorrow, I know, we're in politics and, we've got coronavirus and all these things, no matter what, I've got that time for myself to go on that bike ride and to self-care and really feel like I'm making progress in more areas than just my business. And the odd thing is that in my head, you would just think, okay, well, you work more hours, you're going to get more done and things are going to be better and the clients are going to rank better. And it just was like it wasn't like things were going bad. It just didn't, there was like a reducing return on that investment of just adding in more hours to the work. And what really, I'm going to use your quote here, flipped the switch for me was taking a different perspective of what, again, like almost like what success is and what's sustainable and also, just finding that time to be creative and to take a step back and look at things from a 30,000 foot view, as opposed to, just kind of running and gunning through the next project or the next task or the next, backlink or rankings, rankings optimization technique. And so it was perspective. It's perspective and just really making that shift in terms of making myself a priority so that I can help other people. And also, no one's going to take care of me, right? I've got to take some time to make that a priority. And, the last 2 years of doing that, even this year, just doing the bike rides every day and making a consistent routine. Again, like if everything burns down, if the business had a bad day or, politics or life gets in the way, I've always got that. And that's something that has changed my life.
I think there's a lot of amazing like bites to chew on, right? And Tim Ferriss, 4-hour work week, and there's got to be something in the idea of working smarter, not harder, because a lot of people just put a lot of time and emphasis on, I can work longer days. It doesn't mean you get more productive work done. It just means that you're just doing more shit. And I'm not here to do more shit. I'm here to do the right stuff in the right amount of time with the right people to get to the right place where I'm wanting to go. And I'm very intentional about it. And it sounds like, you're working on a lot of those things too, to bring yourself into alignment. Our soul And our purpose is much bigger than, optimizing, a landing page or selling or shipping products to somebody, right? It's trying to figure out, like, you get one chance at this thing. What are you going to do with this opportunity you've been given? And don't waste it doing stupid stuff. And, if you can live your life and be more intentional with the people you're with and, make sure that you're having fun. That was something I was about to post just a little while ago. Like, are you happy? David, you seem like a very happy person. You got a great heart. Your intention is to be of service. I love like how you show up and want to serve. You just gave a ton of value today. I got 2 more questions for you and then we'll wrap. In your bio, kind of the intro is like, you'll find him cooking. Like, what is David cooking these days besides Hot Pockets?
I love to cook a good steak or chicken parm. The staples I would say would probably be steaks, burgers. You got to throw some salad in there. Got to have some healthy greens in there. And every once in a while I'll cook up some pasta or get something that's a little more low key. But steak has got to be my go-to. Can't go wrong with that.
When you are locked in, dialed in, rocking, doing what you need to be doing, what do you have jamming in your headphones or just kind of out loud? What are you listening to?
I'm usually listening to something upbeat. I think now they're calling it EDM, right? Dance music or something that kind of gets the blood flowing. There's kind of two modes. One is dance music. The other is like relaxing. Every once in a while, I might pop on, some rock or some classical. Maybe you might even hear me listen to a little rap every once in a while. But usually listening to, something like Tiesto or Armin van Buuren, something that's, kind of dancey.
EDM with David.
EDM.
I love it. Hey, guys, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you got a ton of value. Check out David today at peaksdigitalmarketing.com. His name is David Finberg. My name is Tony Grebmeyer. And until next time, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, choose to make today the absolute best day of your life.
Thanks for listening to today's show. But before you go, let me ask you a question. How would you like to be the architect of your journey in this game we call life? Take the next step now at www.tonygrebmeyer.com. Enter your details to get the first week of the Be Fulfilled Journal for free. It includes access to our private community of thousands of other entrepreneurs. It'll give you more clarity and freedom in your day, and it might just change your life forever.